make it better.
Yeah.
Forget the rest.
Are y'all feeling better?
You're rocking with the best radio station on the planet. SDM Live Unplugged.
Peace. This Khalif, student enrollment, episode number 6. Today I want to talk about love and especially self-love. I'm going through a process in which I'm learning to understand that life is a direct a parallel to how much you love yourself. And I'm learning that those who don't love themselves enough, they don't even get that much. If you love yourself a little, you get a little back. And if you love yourself a lot, you get a lot back. And also on the other side of that, you got to be secure. So a lot of times people, they love themselves a lot, but people can come in and just shake them up and they're not secure in it. And, but that's the major piece there is the security in which people do stuff and how people handle themselves. A lot of people are able to get stuff done just because they're secure. Like you don't have to like know how it's all going to play out. You just got to go up there and do it. And life usually makes it happen for you. But when you let doubt creep in, and that's why you really got to check your friends and your family too, because they will drop these seeds of doubt. You'll come from a state of knowing I can do this, and they ask you these questions. And if you're not secure, you entertain that. And when you entertain that, you let something like so pure be tainted. And now you don't even believe it, but you woke up this morning believing it. And that's why security is so important, because you can have all of the self-love you want. You can love yourself a lot, but it's like sometimes with women, like you can call them pretty 1,000 times, but they give you hell over the one time you call them ugly because the security ain't there. I remember I'm 36, so I'm a little older. If we was in school and you called a girl or a guy ugly, they'd be like, "Nah, my mama said I'm cute." See, that was a protection over us. And they were secure, like they don't know what cute or ugly is, but they were secure, like their parents secured them. And nowadays, like I used to work for a daycare center, and this first grader or second grader, I'm gonna go with second grade. The second grader went up to this other second grader. The second grade boy went up to the second grade girl, and this girl was super skinny, and he walked up to her, and he was like, "You look fat." And then she's like, "I'm not fat." He was like, "Well, you look fat to me." And he shook her. So she started crying because she was like, "I'm not fat." Like that let me know there's no security there. Like her parents wasn't telling her that she's beautiful and she's perfect, because another kid, her peer, was able to shake that. And we can't let that happen for each other. You know, and it's a song by the Roots called "Something in the Way of Things." And he said, "You let the garbage on the street tell you ain't shit, and you almost believe him." Like you really can't like let things shake you, because they will break you just that little bit. That little bit of doubt mess up your whole security. Then you can't have the thing you want to have because you're not willing to go through the experience. You know, that's why I believe they don't give passengers on the airplane parachutes, because as soon as the little turbulence hit, people they'd be ready to jump out the they be ready to jump out the cockpit. They be ready to jump out the side of the window, talking about, "Oh, it's gonna crash." Because that's how we are. Like we get a little bit of resistance on a way to going where we need to go, we abandon ship. We abandon the plane. But that's the thing you need to go through to get where you want to go. So you really, really need to be secure. And love go on so many levels. Like if you want to be able to go up in somebody's house, and when they go up in your house, you want people to come up there and look like, okay, this person love themselves. Oh, this President Lou coming in. So I'm basically I'm talking about the importance of self-love. And you want somebody to come up in your crib and be like, oh, look around. Like, okay, this person love themselves. This person, you want to dress nice enough to where they think you care about yourself, because they will treat you directly on their perceived value of you. It's like nicer, like if a purse is dirty, you'll set it on the ground. But if it's like a Gucci or a Louis purse, you wouldn't even set that on the ground, because it's got to perceive the value. And if you don't make yourself look like you're important, people will treat you like you nothing. And you really, really, really have to. Like, people don't think image don't mean nothing, but it's the first thing you see. It's like, like if a girl, you're going to holler at her. She got her ass out. And she invite that attention. But when they covered a little bit, you still holler at her. It's not gonna stop you from hollering at her. But it's how you gonna approach it. What do you think?
Well, what's the original topic?
The original topic is the importance of self-love and I think security in things.
I mean, basically what I think is the only person you really have to love is yourself. You don't have to love anybody else. As far as you were mentioning hollering at a girl, you almost already lowering yourself by even hollering at a girl, because that's under the impression that you're there, she's not coming up to you. You already acknowledge that she's somebody you should at least be chasing. So, I mean, me personally, back in the day, people didn't holler at other people. They courted each other, or their families linked them up, or they had a similar job or something, and they built a friendship, and that's how it naturally happened. Because when you go to holler at somebody, what are you even basing that on? The only thing you could possibly be basing that on is how they look. They look good to you. You wouldn't be hollering at them if you already weren't willing to have sex with them. So, you might think, oh, she looks nice. Nice for what? You don't know anything about her. And so, let's say you had extreme self-love for yourself. Then you would spend, in my opinion, but this might not be true, but in my opinion, you would spend a majority of your time working on yourself. Your days would be working on yourself, developing yourself, loving yourself, and you would probably already be building a friendship with a woman that's somewhere around where you're building, at the library or at a job or someplace.
They'll see you.
They'll see you. Yeah, if you love yourself enough,
Pretty much.
Back in the day, they knew the men that they wanted. And so these days,
it's funny you say back in the day when you just saying like 15.
Yeah, not even that. It's probably more than 15 now, because that was like the 90s, 15, 20, but probably the 80s beforehand. Some guys started after the 60s. Guys, just would it wouldn't be for any reason. They weren't just trying to holler at them for me personally, I never hollered at a girl that I intended to actually be with. Any woman I actually was with, they were in my class with me in college or high school, or at a mosque, or I knew them from some type of job, or they were coming to my business, and I just already knew them, because if I intend on being with the person, it has to be more than just whatever reason you would want to go holler at somebody.
So you saying you created a gravitational pull, and they just happen to be in there, as opposed to you grabbing stuff and bringing it into your orbit.
Pretty much. And that's just for me, but I think that a lot of people should, a lot of men, because women sometimes do this already, but a lot of men should focus on self-development. That way, for example, when I was in my early 20s, I was in the military, but I already had a bachelor's degree. Went to college, went to the military. But after I left college, I didn't holler at nobody. I didn't holler at not one. I was in the military 8 years, didn't holler at not one woman, because I was just getting in shape. I was reading books. I was doing whatever it is I needed to do. Whatever I missed out on learning from my father, learning from anyone else, I got that from my self-development, but also whoever was older than me in the military. And so when I got out the military, I had no issues. First thing I did, just like anybody out the military, you go back to where you're from. Came to Detroit, and I had the gravitational pull you just mentioned. And so wherever I was at, so I started a business. Girls would come in there all the time, and they would flirt. So they would let me know that there was some interest, that they would do something. But I'm not gonna walk through the mall or something and see a girl who looks attractive and then approach her, because if she accepted that offer, that means anyone decent she would accept. So she's not for me. She's already for the streets. Like, what? The same reason there's no reason for me to talk to her, there's no reason for her to talk to me. She just liked what I said. Most of the time it's a shallow conversation. And let me get your number. And so
Impulsive.
It's just impulsive. And so what is our relationship going to be like? It's going to be like everybody else's. It's going to be very short-lived, or a lot of drama, because it's going to have the same result that everyone has every tax season with buying vehicles. Now all of a sudden they got this money. They go buy a vehicle off the used car lot, and then by the summer they have to get another one because it's raggedy. They bought a lemon, and so I wouldn't want my marriage or my relationships to be that way. You prevent that through self-development.
I like that when you was talking about, I think a lot of men, you only get 24 hours in a day. And how many of those hours are you devoting to self-improvement? And just appreciating the person you are. Because a lot of times I think we give all of this time to work. We give all of this time to our family. And it's good being a family person, but like, if you the sustainer and maintainer of that reality, you got to carve out some time for you to get better, for you to be by yourself. And I think that temptation with women, they cause that friction, which makes you grow. But you got to actually put yourself first, even though we don't live in that era where that's cool, but you got to put yourself first. You got to love yourself first. And like he was saying, like, if you doing something, she won't mind.
Mm-hmm.
But if you ain't doing nothing, she gonna want all your time, all of it. You're not busy, you might as well be kicking it with her.
Yeah, and that's a learned behavior we learn. For example, we apply that to everything in our lives. As far as us, if we from like the city, if you Black and from an urban area, you apply that in every area of your life. Like I grew up watching gangster movies, so like hood movies, but also mafia movies. A lot of my cousins were in Black fraternities. And so I was surprised when I joined the military, because, I thought it was a slave system, but there's tons of self-development.
To interrupt you real quick. Talk about the difference between hanging around men and just shooting the breeze and hanging around men with a mission? Y'all all got a mission.
Well, one of the things that struck me off the back is when you're around real men or even an organization that's really set on developing men in a proper way, you could leave it. And what I mean by that is development. For example, I want to develop a cake. I put all the stuff in the batter and I bake it and the cake is done. So when you are not around real men, they're very needy. Because you're not a real man, they're not a real man, and the process never ends. Also, it never ends because no one gets developed because no one else is a real man. So you can't even develop each other. You know, you can't sharpen each other. And so what I was saying about those movies, and then I was shocked and then I was in college too. I was like in a little clique in college. You know, we were doing whatever we were doing. We were already making money before we left college. So I was so surprised in the military because when you get out, you're now a veteran, and that comes with even more benefits. You're celebrated for the rest of your life, you know, and then if you have any other thing, they give you money every month. And so I probably get more benefits from being in the military, and I don't even agree with the military or U.S. foreign policy or nothing. They still give me everything. Whereas I've joined Black organizations since then, and as soon as you have a thought, you don't even got to fall all the way out, but it's the moment you have a thought that's not like the group think, you know, you're considered fell out. You can never be a veteran of any of those organizations because they don't have actual real manhood development. So there's no benefit to you. So when you leave, not only you didn't get a benefit, you're looked at as an outsider. You're looked at as someone who fell out. You're looked at as somebody who, and that's with the majority of Black groups and Black gangs. You know, it don't matter if it's a righteous group or unrighteous. When we don't have real development, focus on genuine self-development, you know, that's one of the symptoms is the fact that there's no finish line.
So you get to graduate basic training. Yeah. And once you have your basic training, you guys just go on mission together or?
No, how it works is you're in basic training with between 20 and 60 guys you don't even know. Y'all from different places, you look different, you have no similarities. So they break you all the way down to an atom and they build you back up into become the same thing almost. Even though you from different backgrounds, talk, look, feel, and think differently, you're pretty much the same. And on that last week of basic, you get to go into the new people and like get them out of bed, yell at them, act crazy towards them. And you remember from your first week there, and I remember this too, you think, these people are just trainees just like me. I would never do that. I know that I would never do that when I get to that week. And then you find yourself doing that because by the end of it, you realize the importance. You realize everything that you developed. So you act that way towards them because you want them to have that same experience and develop. So after basic, you just go to your first base, whatever your job is. I was combat, so I didn't go to my first base because at the time I joined, I went to another base because then I became, a member of a special forces unit. So we did some other training, but even them, we developed into the same version of each other within that. And then we went to Iraq, and then I went back to Afghanistan, and I went back again. So, and these are like a year at a time you're there in the desert. But while you're there, there's not really much talking. Everyone's actually developed. We don't really, everybody knows their job. We will go on missions. We have real guns. Those other people are allegedly trying to kill us. Really, they're just trying to defend where they're from. But we don't even have to talk. There could be a whole village, and you tap the person behind you. You go in. You just know what to do. You don't even have to communicate because you're so in sync. It's natural for men. If you ever look at nature, these animals, we think animals don't communicate or talk. They do. They just already have done it. Lion cubs, when they become a little older, they're fighting from the time they're cubs all the way up, male lion cubs. And so they already communicate so that when they become older, they know what position to play. You know, that the alpha line doesn't even have to fight the other ones most times because they already know what position they go in, you know? And so I just think that with manhood training, we just don't know. Our community obviously is lacking. We're in a matriarch community.
Oh, you know, patriarchal. They be like, trying to break the patriarchy. You know, patriarchy just means family. They changing the definition to as like male centered.
Mm-hmm.
It just means family.
Yeah,
it's always been a patriarchy, and I think that's so deep because the way we battle each other. First of all, we don't even have a mission or a goal, or it's I'm this bang on this guy from this side of the street and you bang on that guy, and you got the same concept of you really like who you looking for. You're looking for the dude, the tough looking dude, the dude with the tattoos, the dude who look just like you but just got a different color. So you really killing yourself, and you training yourself to see yourself as the enemy. Because at least in the military, y'all got different uniforms. Mm-hmm. Y'all wearing the same thing.
Yeah, and the thing is, you know the mission. You know at least what your unit is there to do.
Right.
You know, you may not know the whole grand scheme of things, but you know, you can do a briefing. You go out and they say you're supposed to do this, this, and this, and it's actual real thing. A lot of times in our Black organizations, our fraternities, our religious organizations, our gangs, it's not a real mission that can be accomplished immediately. You know, whether you're in business or military, if your mission can't be accomplished immediately, then you shouldn't do it. Like, why would you have a business if you can't make a profit right now? That's the whole point of it. You know,
they send you home at work.
Huh?
They said they send you home at work.
Yeah, you know, it just doesn't make any sense, and so that goes into the rest of our society, because now we don't want the patriarchy because we fear that. I mean, we don't want. You know how much responsibility is on a man who never had manhood training, don't even know any men, to build a family, maintain a family, and keep that standard up for the other families in his neighborhood. We don't even know our neighbors. We used to know, like, we had all the same issues in Black community before, but we would know, like, Mr. So-and-so, he's cheating on his wife. This guy's a drunk. This guy's on heroin. This lady's doing this. This lady is a single mother. She might be one of the only single mothers. So she's taken care of in the community. You know, we can't even do that because we have too much shame. You know, we may not know we have the shame, but if you're not a man and your homies and all the other guys you know are not men, and the guys you don't know are not men, you can't even look at other men. It's a lot of shame. So we won't even get to know each other because we don't want someone knowing what's going on in our household, because manhood's not going on in our household. Mm-hmm. So we can't even, you know, I try to put a lot of stuff in my household out there, good or bad, you know, so that people will see, because I just know the reality is a lot of our community, they never had that. They don't know, you know what I'm saying? And I could put my stuff out there because I'm not worried about being judged, because I know how low level we are. You can't worry about being judged by low level people. So it doesn't even matter for me. So I put it out there so they'll know this is the bad thing that could happen if you do this bad thing, or this is the good thing that could happen. This is how easy your life can be. You know, one big thing in our community is we believe something is so unnatural. One of the most natural things that can happen is a Black woman submitting and following the guidance of a Black man. This is the very natural thing. You know how much work you have to do to break that? You have to do generational work to break that natural instinct. You know what I'm saying? So we broke it and we perpetuate it. We talk about it. I don't even talk about it. I don't even accept that as the reality. Like, you know, I haven't had that conversation with a woman that I've been with, because I'm not even entertaining that reality, you know. And if you don't entertain it, there's nowhere for the woman to go, you know. So
love yourself.
Yeah, you got to love yourself that much to where that's not even the best scene out of any cartoon that I've ever seen was probably the first episode of the Boondocks, where Huey, he went to I think that was the first episode where he went to the dinner party and the white people were there. He told them the craziest stuff ever. You know, he said Ronald Reagan was this and Jesus was black and all this stuff. And they just clapped and laughed. They're so balanced and they're so much higher than his level.
Wow.
That it just seemed like entertainment to them. You know, people, we think a lot of our black groups are doing all this huffing and puffing and all this movements. The elite mainstream society of America is not worried. It's very entertaining for them. Where they can monetize it, they will. You know, Black Lives Matter or whatever. And then where they can't monetize it, they'll ignore it because it's so much on a lower level. You don't have your community together. Your women don't even submit to you. You have no economy. You have no land. So at that point, it's
like
huff and puff if you want to.
It's like like when your son try to fight you.
Yeah, it's like when your son try to fight you. You know, like
you just hold his head right there. He just you like you don't got no power.
Yep.
And it's a Japanese quote. It said, "A weakling's claim to justice is meaningless." I'm saying it again. A weakling's claim to justice is meaningless.
Mm-hmm.
You over here, like you said, huffing and puffing. You don't believe you.
It's the equivalent of you have two sons and one says, he hit me first. If you're the parent, you're not worried about that. You're like, what are you talking about?
Right.
You know, so we don't have that. And we'll never get that because we perpetuate the idea that there's a problem with our woman. And our woman perpetuates the idea that there's a problem with our man. And so the real issue is we all have the same issue, which is we're not submitting to our nature. We're so far outside of our nature that now our children are outside of our nature. And we don't even know how to fix that because, you know, who's going to teach us?
We can teach each other. It's like we just have to keep raising the standards of men. I remember in the 80s, they used to have women-only apartment complexes. They used to, I don't know if they still have them, but they used to have women-only gyms. And
yeah, they still have those.
Where? I ain't never seen one.
I've seen them.
I ain't seen them in a long time.
Yeah, my aunt goes to one.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Go to Dearborn or something?
I don't know. I think it's in Southfield.
Oh, yeah. So it's like everything is so intermingled. So now you telling me what I should do. I'm telling you what you should do. There's no, like, the men don't tell a man how to be a man. The women tell the men how to be a man. And women don't tell women how to be women. The men tell the women how to be women. So you really can't do that because, like, what they say, a mom can't raise a son and a father can't raise a daughter. The natures are too different. Like, when a mother raises a son, a woman is naturally emotional, and she putting all that emotional nature into that man. He can't act as a man properly. And when a son raises a daughter, you really can't do that. He only can shape you into what he wants. Mm-hmm. And you end up serving your husband like your daddy, like that's your dad, and that's where we get that "hey daddy" stuff from. Because you're just really looking for dad. And then also, like, I seen the dichotomy with that. Like, if it's a compliment if a woman call you daddy, but if you call her mama, it's a it's a what's the word I'm looking for?
It's looked at as perverse.
Yeah. There you go.
One of the reasons for that is the man is supposed to be the leader. So whatever goofy thing that the woman might be doing, it's easy to see that she might have father issues. Mm-hmm. You know, we say that casually, like, "Oh, that girl's a stripper. She must got daddy issues." We say that so casually, but honestly, it's not like it doesn't sting really. You know, it's not like it's a kind of a diss, but it's not a horrible diss. But you call someone a mama's boy,
yeah,
or anything of any variation of that, it's a real diss.
Right.
And so a man's not going to voluntarily feed into that. Like, whereas a lot of women will voluntarily go seek that out. Like, I'm looking for my daddy or whatever. Because it's just not that bad. And there's benefits to that. You know, there's always benefits to submission. Yeah. And so, and it's benefits even if a man wanted to submit in his development. You know,
there you go.
In his development, which you're supposed to have that time, and it's supposed to be okay to submit while you're a teenage boy or while you're a young man. You're supposed to develop, and then when you become an adult, you're developed, and you don't have to submit. People will naturally submit to you. But since we're missing that, we join up with people, friends and groups and stuff to submit in our 20s and 30s, which is perverse. Most of our great leaders died in their 30s. So why are we just now trying to learn manhood? We think we're saying a good thing. When someone joins our group, we tell them, we're going to show you how to be a man. We're going to give you manhood. And we think it's a good thing, and it is that it's good that we're willing to do that. However, the whole situation is perverse because this person's 30 years old. He was supposed to have lived a few lifetimes already.
Yep.
You know, I remember, it's just my personal experience. When I was 17, when I was 16, I remember thinking like everything I want to do in life, I thought about it and wrote it down. I thought my dad was a psychopath. You know, I used to get up every weekend and like do crazy stuff because he was a commander of a basic training unit in South Carolina. So I thought he was crazy. And he was a little crazy, but now I appreciate it because when I was 16, I said, okay, this is what I need to do in life. So I said, I want to go to the military because I want to go to combat. Because I seen war movies on TV. Everything I seen on the movie, I want to do it in real life. You know what I'm saying? I want to do this kind of business. I want to go to these places. Because you can do whatever you want if you're a man. You know? And so I would just say that it's perverse when we think it's such a great thing, someone getting a manhood training when they're 40 years old. You know what I'm saying? And then it's just tougher than anyway. Because like, what I look like telling another grown man, you gonna do this, you gonna do that. You know, they're gonna rebel against me. And then what's the up end? What's the upside? Because most of our great leaders die in their 30s. So, or in their 40s or 50s. And so it's like you're getting a late start. If we were an animal, we'd probably be killing off. Like, you know, in the animal kingdom, you know, you kill off the runs that litter, you know, or in the plants, you know, in the forest and naturally with plants and just with evolution, you know, we can't do that is our community and our race only because, first of all, we just can't do that. But second of all, it would be too many of us. We never had manhood training.
That's funny. But I like what you said, that if we in nature, you can tell we don't know our place and our role. Because everybody trying to be top dog when everybody don't need to be top dog. Mm-hmm. You know, that's why if you look up in the stars, you have the Big Dipper. That's a whole constellation. So you got stars pointing to that dipper. And that whole constellation to make it, even though the North Star is the center of it. Everybody can be the North Star, but we only want to be the North Star. All of the women want to talk to the best dude. All of the dudes want to talk to the best women. Like, if you just was okay where you was at. They said, you know, one of the biggest thing from that stopped people from making $1 million, $500,000. They get comfortable. Mm-hmm. Making 30 grand a month. Like, you had this idea that you wanted it so bad, but now you cool. You don't need more. If it's about money, you stop. But if it's about the passion of the thing you do, that's why you get Bezos, who billions of dollars, and he just keep making more money because it's not about the money. Then you get some people who get $100,000. I'm cool. You can damn near buy everything off 30 grand a month.
Yeah. And also, them people, it's not about the money. Plus, when you hit your first million, you find out stuff you never knew. You find out about things that you can get that you didn't even know existed. If you don't got $1 million or your parents don't got millions of dollars, you don't even know what's out there. And so we could always say what we would do. But different is like going into a room and now you see another door. You didn't know that door was there until you went in that room. And you go into that room, there's another door. And so there's a fear there because you don't ever know what's behind those doors. So some of it is a fear of success because you know how much you struggled with $30,000. You know you can't manage anything about your life right now. So
right,
you may not be conscious of it, but subconsciously you have that fear of success because if you don't know what to do with $30,000 or your job, or the only reason you go and work hard every day is because your boss tells you to be here at this time. So you already aren't developing what it takes to manage that much money or to manage a business that's making that much money. You know, so it's that fear of success. Like, are you qualified for that? Like, probably 90% of the people that I've heard that say they want to be millionaires are not qualified. I know a lot of millionaires. They're not qualified to be a millionaire. And I'm not saying they're millionaires smart. I know a lot of some of the dumbest people I know are millionaires, but that's not the qualification. Mm-hmm. You know? So, you know, you don't even know the qualifications. You don't even know what you could do with that. You don't know the responsibilities of that. You're going to go to jail for tax evasion.
Right.
So,
or live on 25 grand a month. You only got 5,000 left over, and you really just keeping up appearances.
Yeah. The moment you get a brand new Bentley or something, you're gonna do the one thing on it. The one modification is going to decrease the value because you don't even know about Bentley. You don't know how they're made. You don't know how they're handmade, where they even come from. You don't know the thing that you could do to decrease the value. You don't know the thing that will lower the value. So everything you purchase, the millionaires who hit the lottery, everything they do decreases value. And now they
broken 5 years.
Broken 5 years. They don't even know. You don't even know. You know. So.
And I also like the room reference. When it's certain rooms you get into, and you go to the next room, you go back to the other room, like, that's not for me. Sometimes you might think you want something, like you might really want to get to level 10, but you're like, I'm good on level 7. I'm good. And that's just really knowing yourself. Because the people in that, you will know, it's like, at first you get around, if you around people who really don't have money, having to watch is a flex. Just a watch. And then you have an Apple Watch. Now that's a flex. And then you get around people who go like, I got a Rolex. That's a flex. And then you go from it, that's it. Oh, you got a Rolex? I got a Rolex. I got $50,000 Rolex. Then that's a flex. And if you don't want to be in that room, you'll stop. Mm-hmm. Every room you go into, you got different people. That's why all of those great people, they always find themselves in the same place. Mm-hmm. Ain't no other room to go in. But if you say, I'm not around these people because you're in the wrong room. Like, eagles are the highest flying bird in nature. Pigeons can only fly so high. Ducks, geese, all of that. But if only hawks and only eagles can fly at the top. So if eagles will only find eagles at the top. If you're a pigeon, if you say you're an eagle and you keep flying around pigeons, you might be a pigeon. Mm-hmm. And that's okay.
And that's why we see weird connections at the top. We might see somebody like Jay-Z hanging out with a Jewish Russian billionaire. We're like, oh, he's selling out. What is he doing hanging with him? What is he supposed to? He's supposed to hang with you? Right. Like, you almost slapped your baby mama yesterday. Right. He's supposed to hang with you? It doesn't make any sense. And so, you know, maybe through self-development, you hang with the people on your level, you know, but and just being comfortable where you are, because, you know, I know people who worked at the plant 40 years and retired, and they have a great quality of life. Maybe more than some people I know who are millionaires. Their quality of life is better than them, you know, and so because they have more self-awareness than even that millionaire has. And so you just got to know, like, I have a lot of stuff. I went to my aunt's house the other day, who I just mentioned, who goes to that gym. Everyone at this thing is a millionaire or close to it. I have enough self-awareness to where when I seen who was there, because I just popped up, I was very uncomfortable because I'm not a fool. You know, a lot of people like, I'm just going to do this. I'm trying to stunt. I got things I could pretend to stunt with, but I know wherever they're talking about, they were talking about, well, let's just go get a thing. And they were arguing about the types of boats, like speedboat compared to a yacht. I don't know anything about that. Because the thing is, even if I look it up online, I can't get in their conversation because what they were actually arguing about is the maintenance cost and the cleaning cost every time you go out to, you know, after you dock it, all these other details. You know what I'm saying? I don't know nothing about that. And so I felt very uncomfortable, but then I wasn't because I'm self-aware enough to know I'm not even going to do that and embarrass myself, you know?
Yeah. It's basic, like you said, it's certain things in certain rooms where we all know the same thing. It's like when you talk about getting something and you're a virgin, and then everybody look at you, but you don't see it because you're not in that room. But the people in that room go like, "Nah, bro," or "I got me a girlfriend," and then you start talking about stuff and like. Women don't do that. But the ones who know, and you don't know, and they're not gonna tell you because you clearly lying. And they'll let you stoop in that. They'll let you stoop in that. And that's but that's when we talk about like you gotta make yourself secure. Like don't put yourself in a situation where you're gonna be insecure. You're gonna get ate alive every time. And not because it's malicious. I mean, you'll break yourself down. You'll be trying to reach, what do you say, scratch where you don't itch, all of that stuff, talking about I did this. I mean, you can't do nothing. Like, you just be lying just to be fronting. And while that's cool on the low end, on the high end, detail matters.
Yeah, because, you know, let's say we all don't have that much money. We just hanging around the hood. So at that point, probably the majority of us have some habit.
Yeah.
So we either smoke weed every single day, or we do this,
play video games,
or we just have some habit. We might not even know it's a habit. So now all of a sudden, I get a record deal. Now I got $10 million, and all my friends are hanging out. Now I have access to habits, and it's coming easy. Now I'm at parties where these other habits are, where the people there, they can handle these habits. They could go in the bathroom and snort coke every day. You know, and it's fine for them. They're running Fortune 100 companies. But for me, now I'm just another person who got millions of dollars that overdosed. Or now I'm depressed. Pretty much, because we don't develop artists the same way these days, pretty much 80% of the artists that we have coming out of our communities are depressed right now. They look good on the video, but they're depressed. Yeah. And so, which kills that creativity. So we want to complain, but it's really all of our faults that we don't develop each other, because now it kills their creativity because they're depressed. And so we complain and say, oh, well, they're all singing and rapping about the same thing. Their creativity is murdered because they have habits that you don't have access to.
Right.
You know, there's drugs you never heard of. You know, there's women that do things you never heard of. Right. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's stuff you don't know about. And so it's like,
you can go a whole month without having to say no.
Yeah.
Going years.
You know how psychologically damaging it is? It's psychologically damaging for a man to never have any women tell him no about anything. Yeah. And so, yeah, we don't even know. And so, like you said, that's why self-development is always important on every level. You shouldn't go to the next one unless you... Video games should have taught us that as children, because you had to know everything in Mario Brothers on that first level to even be able to face that second level.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah, that's dope. Well, that's our time. I'm Brother Khalif.
Brother Lewis.
All right, like and subscribe. Catch y'all later. Peace.
You make a move, make it matter. Yeah. Forget the rest.
How y'all feeling that?
You're rocking with the best radio station on the planet. SDM Live Unplugged.